Hello, and welcome back to Idea Sex, where we take an analytical lens to mysticism and spirituality. My name is Kiara, the Mad Witch, and today we are continuing our exciting tumble down the rabbit hole of psychic research. Most people have no idea, how much evidence there is for the existence of psychic phenomena. It's a whole field. It's an entire field of study that really got its start in the Soviet Union circa 1920, and it took the US about 5 decades to catch up. It was the Cold War that lit a fire under our ass, and we were like, oh, well, this stuff that's coming out of Russia, it's pretty serious, so I guess we'd better study that too if we don't want our to get handed to us by super psychic Russian spies. It never happened as far as I know, but that was a legitimate concern. So we really started doing the whole investigation into psychic abilities, extended human capacities during the Cold War. So not too long ago. And so they dumped millions. That's what we know of, is tens of millions. I would guess more, but they dumped a lot of money, a whole lot of money into researching psychic phenomena. And one of the early key players in this whole shebang was Russell Targ. He is an award-winning laser physicist who founded the remote viewing program at the Stanford Research Institute. And that was the institute that contracted with the CIA in order to run Project Stargate. Project Stargate was a 20-year, $20 million program that was investigating the possibility of using psychic abilities for military applications, which is terrible. I am the one you're just if I'm being completely honest, because all of psi and the reason psychicness, the reason psi abilities can exist, that any of this is possible. This entire field hinges on the idea that humanity is essentially one family that shares one consciousness. The reason things like telepathy, things like precognition are possible is because everything is connected. And so, of course, the powers that be, our government, was like, how can we use these potentially divine abilities, right? If they're real, that's what they would be. How can we use this and all of our interconnectedness, and how can we use this to spy on people and kill them? Good job. America! We've done a handful of videos on Targ, both his formal research that was conducted in the laboratory, the CIA stuff, as well as some of his little ventures outside of the labs, which are equally cool. And today I wanted to hone in on the contract that he and his team had with NASA. So NASA contracted with the remote viewing program, or the people who are behind it. I actually think it may just have been Targ, but basically NASA reached out to Russell to create an Esp training machine. In other words, to see if it was possible to teach people how to be more psychic. And this Esp Teaching Machine is now, it went from being a machine to an app that today you can download on your phone, and I'm going to show it to you. Not promotional, of course, just interesting, just fun. So without further ado, have some idea sex with me. We rise up from the dust and clean my throat. So Targ had been doing his remote viewing studies for a couple of years already, and he was getting intermittent funding from the CIA, from the Institute of Pneumatic Sciences, from some other private foundations. But his first really substantial contract came from NASA, and it was called the Development of Techniques. What the hell was it called? The development of techniques to enhance man-to-man communication. There we go. Man-to-man communication, mano a mano. And there were actually 2 parts to this. The first is the Esp Teaching Machine, and the second was a telepathy thing. We're not going to talk about the telepathy stuff today because that is an entire class of experiments that deserve their own probably series of videos. There's a whole body of evidence around that family of experiments, so we'll get to that another day. Today, I just want to talk about this fancy little machine. Originally, it was a physical machine, a box thing with a printer attached to it. But these days you can get it right here on your brainwashing 5G lightbox device. And it is called Esp Trainer. I'm going to show it to you right now. My God, scream at me, why don't you? Okay, so here is the app, and in the app, it's got different levels, but this level called Remote Viewer with the 4 boxes is very similar to the original machine. And so it is similar to a forced choice precognition test, except you can pass. And so the premise is the same, right? In a traditional precognition test, it involves guessing which of these is the correct one. And so before computers, they would use cards that had like different symbols on them, or they would use dice. And the testy phrasing, the person the person doing the experiment had to guess which was either the card that was going to come up, or in this case, what box the computer is randomly going to choose. And so, you know, on this, when you hit the correct button, when you guess the correct square, it like lights up and makes a happy noise. And when you don't, it makes a sad noise. I've still only ever done novice. Oh, it's so loud. I've still only ever done the novice version, duality, but it's kind of cool because over time, it'll show you if you're being trained. And so you've got like that positive and negative reinforcement. And what you're trying to get to is a certain feeling in your body. It's like that intuitive hunch of what is the correct choice. Targ calls it your special feeling. And you can see over time if it makes any goddamn difference for you. I, interestingly enough, went from an 80% down to getting almost all of them wrong. And then I had this series of 100s, and then it's going like this, and then it leveled out at 80. So I have no idea what any of that means, but I'm amused, to say the least. Not by those sounds, though. Stop that. But in any case, you can download this for free on your 5G brainwashing lightbox device. And in any case, you can download that for free in order to hone your psychic abilities and learn to recognize how that right answer feels in your body. And you may find that intuitive feeling translates to your everyday life. Oh, I should probably show you how it works, huh? Watch me get all of them wrong. So when you get one wrong, it does that. It makes that unhappy noise. Now I'm going to have to guess a bunch of them to get one right. Yeah, no. Oh, there you go. I'm psychic. In the NASA program, participants were learning how to recognize that special feeling, that intuitive feeling in their bodies. And this is in part why, well, presumably why Targ introduced the pass button with the Esp Training Machine, is because traditionally, in a forced choice experiment, what we see is that people's performance actually declines over time. And so they start off getting a lot of things right, but then it's as if when someone gets a wrong answer, they're like, oh no, I'm not psychic. Like their self-esteem like gets knocked a little bit. And so it's like a decline over time. And so the effect of introducing a pass button is that if someone is on a trial and they don't get that special feeling in their body, then they can pass, and they can pass until they do get that feeling and feel as though they do know the correct answer. And so that's the idea of this being a training machine, is that negative and positive reinforcement and the ability to skip. Working with 147 subjects for a year at SRI, we found that 8 of the people demonstrated statistically significant learning. 6 of these 8 were each significant at odds of 100 to 1. The chance of finding this high level of improvement from 147 learners is 3 in 1,000. We would only expect 1 or 2 at the 0.01 level of significance by chance. We concluded that ESP abilities could be enhanced by feedback and reinforcement, just as we had expected and proposed. Of the 147 volunteers, not a single one showed a systematic decrease in their performance over time, which is much different from earlier forced choice precognition, forced choice experiments. And they do believe that it's because they introduced that pass button. In fact, that pass button, that the concept of it is often incorporated in precognition studies today. And yeah, Ingo Swann, of course, also tried his hand at the Esp Training Machine and scored a significant departure from chance expectations with odds of 1 in 100,000, which is pretty impressive, even for a master psychic. So how cool that we can download it and play on our phones today. What a strange and magical and chaotic time we live in. Cheers. And that's it for today. If you are interested in taking an analytical lens to mysticism and spirituality, if you're interested in tumbling down the rabbit hole that is psychic research, do subscribe and join the guild. And in any case, thank you so much for joining me, for having idea sex with me today. And until next time, stay blessed.